Hi everyone and welcome to BioEquestrian. Today we're gonna talk about some exercises I like to do whenever I get stuck with a horse. So you see, every equestrian gets moments in their career when they simply don't know what to do. We get frustrated, we start hating our horses, and we can't do anything to make it better. So when I get past the anger, denial, eating ice cream, crying, blaming the horse, and I finally bring myself to try and change something about myself, these are the exercises that I will do. I both love and hate them because they give you a lot of feedback, but they aren't the easiest. As you can see, our arena is filled with a lot of different pole combinations, and we will be using most of these. The first exercise would be the clock. We're gonna ride it in a circle about the size of a round pen, which would be about 12 to 16 meters. And we're gonna wanna go through 4 poles in a calm rhythm with our eyes closed. You want to feel how does your seat, legs and your arms and your body in general affect the horse while turning, and if you are able to ride it in a constant flexion, not go off the circle while feeling if your horse is bent and in which part of its body exactly. This lets you make a lot of adjustments and feel how you can affect the movement of your horse's shoulders, hind end and other parts of their body. It would be great if there was someone standing in the middle of the circle who would simply tell you when to open and close your eyes, since you don't want to go off the circle. That way you can safely exercise without bumping into anyone else in the arena. Firstly, you want to do the exercise in walk. If you feel confident and you can do the exercise in walk, you can move up to trot and then pick up canter. Riding the full circle isn't as important as feeling the level and the direction of your horse's flexion and its flexibility. You see, we're not trying to fix the mistakes, we're actually trying to tell what works the best for your horse to calmly adjust to the flexion you're asking for. We need to remember that these exercises verify us and what we can fix. If you feel like the exercise gets a little too hard when you pick up canter while being on the circle, try to approach it from further away and then continue on riding in the circle. The exercise is quite hard and engaging for the horses, so I recommend doing it more than 2 to 3 times per one session. You want to take breaks, maybe do other exercises in between. This also requires a lot of focus from both the rider and the horse, so there's no point in riding it over and over again. What is also important in the clock exercise is to close your eyes and think about the pressure that is put on certain body parts and to distribute the pressure evenly on both sides. When we get feedback on our turns while doing the clock, we can move further. You can often hear that the center line is also the line of truth. When doing the center line, the horse's hind legs should move exactly behind its front legs. You can check that by riding straight into a camera. This exercise itself isn't complicated, but it shows how responsive our horse is on that particular day. It also shows the length of the period of time that our horse can stay focused in and keep a straight line. Remember that the center line is just a test and a product of our training, so there's no need to do it over and over again hoping for a different result. If you think that you're the only one struggling with the center line, here's a video from our horse's first ever show, which just shows how horses can change depending on the environment. The third environment. The third exercise is going to be the square. You can see all of the distances on the picture, but the minimal width of the path should be 1 meter, though at first I'd recommend 1.5 meters. We should be riding in between the poles, so we're not going to go over the poles. And for all the people who are afraid that it'll teach the horse to refuse going over poles, I guarantee it won't happen. After such hard flexion, your horse will be more than happy to jump anything in a straight line. This exercise helps us verify if we are introducing a turn on the outside rein. Every time you try to use your inside rein before a half halt, before using your seat, and before using your outside rein, it will just lead to jumping out of the square. I had put some really huge stands on the inside of the square to keep the rider from leaning her shoulder inside when turning, since this just takes away all of our control. Of course, we need to take any sharp or pointy elements off the stands. As you can see, the poles are also put closer to the horse to create a distance between our horse and the stand. The exercise isn't the easiest one, so you're gonna wanna start with an easy walk. The exercise will be easy as long as you use correct aids. The whole point of this exercise is to see if your turning aids are correct and how effective they are. If you calmly half halt right through your inside hip and leg while keeping constant contact on the outside rein before you start turning, it'll all go smoothly. But if you pull the inside rein or lean inside, etc., the turn won't occur or it will just be chaotic. If you want the exercise to be harder, you can change directions through the middle of the square. You can do transitions inside the square, you can shorten and lengthen your strides, or shorten the width of the pathway to 1 meter. This exercise requires a lot of focus and engagement in the hind end, so you're gonna wanna do it twice at max and take a break, especially if your horse is rather young. So what you need to keep in mind is that the purpose of this exercise isn't to ride through the whole square or to exercise your horse. It's there to tell you which one of your aids causes the horse to not carry your weight properly when turning. If your horse won't engage his hind end, won't turn, or even tries to back out of frustration, it's just letting you know that there's something stopping it from turning. Your job is to think exactly about your aids, and if errors happen, is it because of the same aid on both sides? What's also important is to be aware of your aids when both going in and out of a turn. This exercise won't train your horse, but it will give you awareness of your own aids and errors. You need to remember that these exercises aren't supposed to look very pretty, they are supposed to give you feedback. It's always good to film yourself doing these exercises to see what are the actual problems. It would be even better if someone told you what you're doing wrong, since it's really hard to judge yourself based on a video. In this, we also aren't looking for a perfectly written exercise. The mistakes are supposed to show. We want to determine the error that's been causing frustration, then try to use aids that we can already use correctly so that the error just stops occurring. This will cause massive progress, but it requires a lot of self-control. To sum it all up, you're gonna ride inside the square for 2 to 3 minutes, then take a break and do something else. Also, what's the most important is to enter the turn using your seat. If you calmly continue on with gentle aids, it'll all work out. You can also ride the square bridleless to test out your skills. Here's a little pro tip, as always. Just remember that mistakes happen. They are always there, and they're a way of progressing. It's natural. Also, remember to not lose the joy of riding horses. Everybody gets frustrated. Do the things that you can and what are enjoyable for both you and your horse, and it'll all work out. Remember to let us know if these exercises helped you. You can email us at bioequestrian@gmail.com or just tell us in the comments how you liked the video, how you liked the exercise, and how it all went. We'd love to hear you. Remember, you can visit us on Instagram and TikTok. It's both bioequestrian, and